Go Johnny go. Maybe it should have been go Mick go. A humble, down-to-earth sort of bloke. Mick Brennick is his name. He loved a beer and to socialise, and he always seemed the same. Not often in a striped suit and tie, formal clothes he rarely wore. Not many airs and graces about Pop. He's the larrikin who swore. But we respect him for who he is, a good, down-to-earth bloke. To him, laughter came easily, and he loved a bloody good joke. He's a bit rough around the edges, but his heart's in the right place. He's as carefree as a sunny summer's day, a big smile upon his face. A character in his own right, as everyone would know. Mick Brennan would greet you in the pub with a smile and a big hello. And so good morning. I would like to welcome you all as we have come together today to say our goodbyes to Milton John Brennick, better known to one and all as Mick or Pop. Before we move too far into our service, could I please take a moment to ask that if anyone has not already done so, that they please turn their mobile phone off or onto silent as your mark of respect for Mick. As Mick had lived a fairly nomadic lifestyle, and he knew so many people spread right across Australia, will mean that today there are many people who unfortunately just couldn't travel to attend our service here. But I would like to mention that we are thinking of them, as I'm sure they're taking a few quiet moments to think of all of us who are here, and also to remember Mick in their own ways. Perhaps they're having a quiet beer or a smoke in his memory. For those people who are watching this service via live stream, or perhaps in the coming days, I welcome you as well. Your presence is equally valued, whether you're here in person or in spirit. After our service here in the chapel, you're invited to remain here and join the family for a time of refreshment. And I did hear a whisper the other day that there might be a beer or even a nip of whiskey, if you know who to ask. So please go and find Jackie or Scott, and I'm sure that they'll be able to sort you out with something to drink. It's also during this time that you can share your own memories and your own stories with each other, and I'm sure that there are many, many that can be shared. You will also have an opportunity after our service to spend a few quiet moments with Mick. You can take your drink, grab a pen, and perhaps write a message or leave a memory or simply just your name on his coffin as a lasting tribute to Mick and the lasting memory that he will leave on your hearts. And so this morning, here in this chapel, we have made time to come and to remember, to pay our respects to this man, and finally, towards the end of our service, to say our goodbyes to Mick's physical presence amongst us. We will thank him for all the things that he brought into our lives. This doesn't mean that we will forget who he was, because you will remember him. You will remember him when you see, hear, and feel the racehorses thunder around the track. You will remember him when you hear the top crack off a bottle of 4X beer. You will remember him when you see a fresh cut, perfectly manicured lawn or a golf course. Or when you hear an Elvis song. You might even throw your knee, just as Mick and the King would have done. And so how do we best describe Mick? He was a bit of a homebody. He loved to spend most of his time at home, especially in these last few years. He loved maintaining a perfect lawn. He was a man of routine, a hard worker. His love of his golf, of horses and horse racing, and of music. But I think most of all, it was his love for his family that defined him. But underneath Mick's tough exterior, there was an honest, a loyal, hard-working bloke. He would give anything that he had to help others, and he always put everyone before himself. Death, I think, has a way of uniting us in a way that perhaps no other human experience does. It reminds us of the fragility of our relationships. It reminds us of the special and the unique way in which we relate to those people who cross our pathway in life. Everyone here will have a different relationship with Mick, and everyone here will express their loss of him differently. Grieving any death is a personal, a unique experience. It can be a little bit like a rough road. There are ups and downs, and there's potholes along the way. And hopefully, it will be all the wonderful memories that you have of Mick that bring you comfort as you keep bumping along that road into the future. It's important to know that Mick is still with you. There aren't going to be any new memories to be made with him, but no one can take away what you shared with him and the memories that you made. It's important to talk about him, to remember him and the times that you shared, just as we're doing today. And so one of the parts of a funeral service is where we share the story of Mick's life. And I have the privilege, firstly, of sharing a little bit of what I learnt about Mick's life with you now. And so Milton John Brennick was born in Griffith, New South Wales on the 2nd of September 1945. Not a lot is really known about Mick's early life, as he didn't really like talking about it. But we do know that he left home and school at about 16 or 17 years of age, and he started his apprenticeship as a jockey. He would have started at the bottom as a stable hand, mucking out stalls and learning to care for the magnificent thoroughbred horses. He must have shown that he was made of the right stuff, because it wasn't long before Mick started to move up the ranks and started his training as a jockey. Mick loved horses. I'm sure he would have loved feeling the power of a well-trained racehorse beneath him. He loved that the work took him all over the country, and I think that was when he first came to Tasmania for a race, and maybe it was that trip that started his love affair with Tassie. Eventually, injury forced his retirement from riding competitively, but Mick always maintained a love for horses and the track. Never gambling or putting bets on the horses, he was just happy to study their form, to pick the winners in each race for the bragging rights to Lynn. Mick eventually started his own cleaning business, and when he closed that business down, he went courier driving. In later years, he reopened the cleaning business in partnership with Lynn. And it was somewhere around this time that he met Lynn. They were introduced by Lynn's sister and brother-in-law who owned a shop, and Mick was one of their customers. It wasn't long before they made it official, and Mick was welcomed into Lynn's family, just like he'd always been there. I was told that the family affectionately started off calling him arsehole, but it wasn't long before they rebranded him Pop. As I mentioned earlier, Mick was nomadic. He and Lynn shifted around a bit, living in, and in no particular order, Guildford and Cowra, Gorican, Bundaberg, and of course Burnie, about 3 times now. In fact, when Scott said to Pop and Lynn, "Where do you want to live for your forever home?" it was here, in Burnie, that he chose. He wouldn't hear of going anywhere else. Mick was, by all accounts, a creature of habit. He had routines, and he hated them being disturbed. Mick was not a morning person, and he would lead at least 3 coffees and a couple of smokes before he was even ready to say good morning to anyone. He would have 2 Weet-Bix for breakfast every morning. It made for fairly interesting mornings in the Bell household because they were all morning people who bounced out of bed, happy to talk the minute their feet hit the floor. Didn't really suit Mick. Every morning, Mick would head off recently to the top of the town in Upper Burnie, where he would have his 2 mid-strength beers before returning home, always by 11 a.m, where he'd have a couple of whiskies. Mick would often take Lynn out. He'd give her $50 to have a poke while he popped into the bar for his couple of beers. She'd have to be done though by 11 a.m, because he'd be ready to head home. He was so routine, you could almost set your watch by him. He'd never take Lynn out for coffee and cake though, or lunch to a cafe. Even when on holidays in Queensland, Mick would head off to the club for his couple of midday morning beers. As I'm sure you're all aware by now, Mick loved his beer. It was always a 4X. One time in Bundamba, Mick broke his rule and he had an extra beer. Well, it was just that day that he was pulled over and put on the breatho, and he blew just over the limit. They took him into the cop shop and put him on the tester there where he blew under, and they let him go. But he never did push for a 3rd beer again. Well, Lynn told me of the time where she went out to bingo and Mick was off to a fancy dress party, and he was all dressed up with his yellow perm wig, his shorts, his headband and his boogie board. Well, when Lynn got home late, there she found Mick on the front porch, shivering his ass off with only the dog blanket to keep him warm. Mick had been distilling his own whiskey in his little still in his laundry since about 2014. It took him a little while to learn the art of the perfect batch, but once he mastered it, he made a delicious brew. His mate Chris helped him with it recently, paid, of course, in whiskey. Mick loved golf. Every Saturday he'd play at the Cowra course. He won a gold medal in their bicentennial game. He'd even go on a rainy day, and on those days he'd get stuck at his favourite hole, the 19th. He'd end up so drunk he'd be leant against the wall until he slid down it and ended up on the ground. Mick was funny, most of the time unintentionally so. If the Gogglebox film crew had have been set up in Mick and Lynn's lounge room, well, they would have made millions just listening to their shenanigans. Or the times that he would take out his false teeth and put them on the table beside his plate, especially if he was in a restaurant or out at a wedding. He loved to see the look of horror on everyone's faces. Mick was just a little bit cheap, a little bit of a tight ass. He was always up for saving $1 or $2 when he could. He took over doing the washing, and he claimed any loose change that he found in pockets. But he'd always say to Lynn, if she was thinking about buying something for herself, "Just buy it, Lynn." He would be pretty stoked today, I think, that he got his wish of Just put me in a cardboard box. Mick loved his tucker. Maybe after having to watch his weight so closely in his jockeying years, he could relax a bit after retirement. He was a bit of a night eater, and countless times Lynn would go looking for something that she'd left in the fridge, only to find that it had disappeared overnight. In a single night, he could eat 20 oranges or clean up 20 rissoles. He loved lasagna and a good feed of lamb's fry. He could finish a whole jar of pickles in just a few days with a roll of Devon and a loaf of bread. All the time, Lynn had left dinner in the fridge for Mick and told him that all he had to do was microwave it. Well, Mick said it was a funny tasting casserole, which left Lynn a little bit perplexed until she worked out that he'd heated up the dog food and polished that off. But most of all, Mick loved people. He loved all the people in his life who became his family. He always looked forward to when he would see you all again. One of the absolute highlights was his 80th birthday last year, as he discovered each person who had travelled down here to Burnie to celebrate with him. His eyes would fill with tears. He was just so chuffed that you had made the effort to come for him. And I'm sure he would be just as chuffed to see you all back here today. And so, from Mick, thank you for coming. Mick left lasting memories on everyone that he came across. And there will be an opportunity shortly for anyone who would like to come forward and to share a tribute or a story of Mick with us. But before then, I'd like to invite John to come and share his tribute to Mick.
Good morning, everyone. Mick wasn't my biological grandfather, but to me he was every bit a real pop. He was my nan's carer, and because he was in our lives for so many years, the bond we built was no different to that of a pop and a grandson. He loved us, looked after us, laughed with us, and became family in every way that matters. When I think of Pop, I think of a man who made life fun. He had his way of making every moment memorable, whether it was through laughter, kindness, or just the way he treated people. He taught me how to shave, one of those simple but important moments. One of those simple but important moments between a grandson and a pop. That stays with you forever. He was somebody who taught by example, and I learnt a lot from him over the years. He wasn't only my Pop either. All of the grandkids' friends used to call him Pop too. That says everything about the man he was. He made everybody feel welcome, like family, and like they belonged. Sorry. One of my favourite memories are the little ones, are the little everyday ones. In the afternoon, Pop would sit on the porch having a beer before he would go inside to watch MASH. He'd be wearing those shorts with the little buckles on the side, and my sister and I would sit on either side of him quietly undoing the buckles without him noticing. He would get up to get another beer and his pants would start to fall and he'd look at us and go, "You bloody kids," while laughing. That was Pop. Always good for a laugh, never taking life too seriously. Another memory that makes me smile was when I skipped school one day and somehow ended up being approached by the local paper. Thinking I was rather clever, I gave my name as Eddie Spangles. The next time I visited Nan and Pop saw me and couldn't stop laughing. Through the tears of laughter, he kept saying in the paper, "Eddie Spangles." He thought it was hilarious, and he made sure I never forgot it. One of the things I loved was caddying for Pop when I'd visit him and Nan in Cowra on school holidays. Sometimes he would be playing with his mates, but he always treated me a bit older than I was and made me feel like I belonged there with them. Years later, I got to caddy for him again here in Tasmania. I asked if I could tee off for him, and he chuckled and said, "Mate, I wouldn't be able to find my ball." But I tell you what, have a hit here. He dropped one of his old water balls down and told me to let it rip. I hit it straight over the trees towards people playing on the other side. Before I'd even looked up, Pop had already made it back to the golf cart, ready for our getaway. That was him, sharp, funny, and as he always said, one step ahead, my boy. Those trips and memories with him are some of the most special memories in all of life. Pop gave us laughter, love, guidance, and stories we would be telling forever. He made the people around him happier just by being there. I miss you, Pop. We all will, but I'll carry those memories, those laughs, and everything you taught me for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Hey. For those who don't know me, I'm Stephanie, and Mick was my uncle. He came into my life, I think, 37 years ago. It's been a while. When he first met my Auntie Lynn. Very quickly after that, became very, very good friends. And forged a relationship that we should all aspire to have with the people we love. True best friends. Over the years, my dad and Mick became really good friends and enjoyed so many long conversations. I can't even remember what they are, but there was many. Mick didn't have biological children of his own. But through this connection with my aunt, he claimed and cherished her children, her grandchildren, her cousins, her brothers, sisters, and of course nieces. Not through blood, but through love and choice, which makes it even more meaningful. He chose us. He chose all of us. He chose to love us. And I need to remember that. He chose this family, and we chose him back. He was a friend to many, many people, always ready for a chat. While he was out the back just looking at his lawn and just watching things go by, or he was down at the pub for his 10 a.m. ritual with the 2 beers at $10 keno, and then back as soon as he could. All those legendary fridge raids. He would empty the fridge. It didn't have to be at home. It was anyone's fridge he was staying at, any house he was at. I remember Auntie Lynn used to have food ready to go. So he wouldn't find random food. She would make him plates of food and just have them ready just when it was time. And at 80 years old, there was always a good story to tell. When his health challenges came along, for both of them really, over the years, Mick and Auntie Lynn, they committed to really, truly caring for each other through all of them. All the challenges in life, not just the health challenges, all challenges, they were there for each other. They cared for each other with such love and respect, a true inspiration to anyone who knew them both. The profound loss that we're all feeling now isn't a real loss. We haven't lost him. We really haven't. He lives in our memories. He lives in our hearts. Even though right now all our hearts are breaking. But every time they break, we're reminded of how much we do love him and how much he loved us all. We remember him in the stories that we tell each other and that we listen to someone else say as well. We relive those memories constantly with each other, in the laughters and in the tears. So Mick, thank you for 37 years ago choosing us and allowing us to be part of you. You are very much loved and missed.
Well done, John. Well done, Stephanie. What beautiful tributes to Mick. I have a tribute that I would like to share from Craig. And he's written, "Today we all pay tribute to a loving man who shared his life with so many. He was known to some as Mick and to a select few as Milton. But to many of the people who are there today, and to many more who couldn't be there, he was simply known as Pop. Pop wasn't just a name. It was something he earned through the unconditional love, support, and devotion that he gave so freely over the years. When I think of him, I can't help but smile and laugh at the memories that we shared, whether it was his attempts at dancing after a few drinks at family gatherings, or just sitting together at the end of the day enjoying a few bevies. Pop had a way about him, those little quirks and sayings that would just roll off his tongue and bring a smile to everyone around him. Things like, he gets as silly as a wheel after 3 drinks, or liars and thieves. And one of my personal favourites, that long, drawn-out wow, in a way that only Pop could do. I know in my heart how much he was loved, especially at the end. You can see it on people's faces. You can hear it in their voices. He was a man who will be deeply missed, never forgotten, and always loved. I'll miss you, old mate. Love, Craig." I mentioned a little bit earlier about anybody having an opportunity to come forward and share a memory or a story of Mick. So would there be anyone who would like to do that now? That's all right. I'm sure there'll be a few stories later when tongues have been loosened. Recently, Mick's health had started to decline, and he was admitted into the Northwest Regional Hospital. In those last days, in a testament to his love of old rock and roll music, Mick was placed in room number 66. Or should that be, he went off down Route 66. Mick passed away quietly, surrounded by the love and the support of those closest to him, last Thursday, the 16th of April.
Pressed between the pages of my mind, memories sweetened through the ages just like wine. Quiet thoughts come floating down and settle softly to the ground like gold of autumn leaves around my feet. I touch them and they burst apart with sweet memories. Sweet memories of holding hands and red bouquets and twilights trimmed in purple haze and laughing eyes and simple ways and quiet nights and gentle days with you. Memories pressed between the pages of my mind. Memories sweetened through the ages just like wine. Memories, of holding hands and red bouquets and twilights trimmed in purple haze and laughing eyes and simple ways and quiet nights and gentle days with you. Memories pressed between the pages of my mind. Memories sweetened through the ages just like wine. Memories, memories, sweet memories, memories. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. if I made you feel second best. Girl, I'm so sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. Give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. Always on my mind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. Maybe I didn't treat you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Papa. Happy birthday to you. Hooray! 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 Why were you born so good? Why were you born at all?
Hey, how do you get one? Go, Pop.
Yeah! Everyone gets a breather now.
That's my man. They're working bloody. You picked me.
Joey! Oh, Jay!
Hey!
And so as we start to come to the final parts of our service, a light has gone out without so much as a flicker, and all that we now have left is the memory of how brightly it burnt and the warmth that it gave us. How glad we are, Mick, that we were part of your life, but how your leaving us brings such sadness. But we know that we can do no more for you in this life, and our last act of care is to lay your body to rest. We have met to honour and to celebrate your life, a life lived with colour, with fun, hard work, determination and resolve. We are glad to be numbered, Mick, amongst those who loved you and respected you and who called you friend. In respect of his giving and his generous nature, I would like to invite Mick's family to come forward now to take a few quiet moments with him and place a flower upon his coffin, using this time to say your own personal, private goodbye to him. What we're essentially doing today is the putting away of Mick's body. We deeply love and respect his body because it carried around his spirit, his personality, himself for his 80 years. But now the thing that drove Mick's eyes, and the thing that gave us his smile, and the laugh that we'll never forget, the thing that made his body work and sing and dance any time an Elvis song came on, the thing that knew you and let you know him, the thing that enlivened his body, is gone. But that thing will never be completely lost to us because we all have a little bit of it stuck inside of us, and we will have until one day we find ourselves in a place like this with somebody like me clumsily reading words over our own coffins. But until then, we won't forget Mick. We'll always think a bit like him. You'll act a bit like him. You'll laugh at the same things that he would have laughed at. And sometimes you'll probably cry a bit from time to time because of him. But you'll also smile. You'll smile the smile of somebody who has had the honour of knowing Milton, John, Brennick, Mick, Pop. But for now, he remains locked up inside of you, warm in your hearts, safe in your love. Let him rest there. Let him ride with you. Take him away with you today and remember what it was about Mick that moved you. Be stronger for him. Be better. Be kinder. And so, Mick, we say goodbye to your physical presence amongst us, and we commit you. We commit you to our hearts, to our minds, and to our memories. We commit to the telling of your stories so that others will know you. We commit to loving you from now until eternity, and we commit to supporting each other through our loss of you. And gently and tenderly, we commit you for cremation, eventually to return earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. We ask, Mick, that you rest for eternity, knowing only peace and the love of your family and your friends. He rode with quiet courage, low in the saddle, eyes ahead, chasing the rhythm of hooves and the promise of one more win. The track knew his heartbeat, the dust knew his name, and every finish line carried a piece of his fire. But beyond the silk and the saddles, beyond the roar of the crowd, he found his peace on green fairways, a club in hand, a softer game where the world slowed down and laughter came easy. And there was always a cold beer waiting, raised in good company, shared in stories that grew taller with every telling. Yet his greatest victories weren't won on turf or grass. They were found at the table, in the arms of his family, in the quiet pride of being theirs. So today we lay down the reins, we quiet the course, we lift a glass in his honour, not in sorrow alone, but in gratitude for the ride, for a life well run, well played, well loved. And though he's gone from our sight, you can almost hear it, the distant thunder of hooves, the soft strike of a ball, the echo of his laughter carried on the wind. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand?
And now the end is near, so I face final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, that I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, and there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. Oh, what is a man? What has he got? If not himself,